common multiple. I can apply the least common multiple. Let's look at some jokes. Hey, do you want to hear a joke about construction? I'm still working on it. What did the ocean say to the sailboat? Nothing, it waved. So, before we start, we got to look at some vocabulary. Multiple is our learning goal today, so the result of multiplying another number by an integer. So the result, the product, would be considered a multiple here. So these are considered, remember, our factors, and this would be our multiple here. So today we're going to look for the least common multiple of two numbers. So let's take 6 and 8 for an example, and let's list a few multiples of 6 and 8. Alright, so I'm just going to write a list here. And I'm going to switch over to a pen, just comes a little bit easier to look at. So write the multiples of 6. Okay, just listing the multiples of 6, and I'm just counting by 6. Okay, so I'll stop there. So there's a good chunk of multiples. We're going to do the same thing for 8. Alright, so now I want to list the common multiples of these two numbers. Okay, so common multiples, 24 and 48. Now today we're going to look at the least common multiple of these numbers. Now, writing a list for all of our multiples would be tedious and would take forever. So we're going to have a strategy and a procedure to cut down on time. Alright, number 1, let's take 8 and 56. Okay, we're going to solve this in two different ways. So the first way, we're going to call it the L method. Okay, so just like that. Now we're going to look for a common factor of 8 and 56. Okay, even though we're doing multiples, we're going to look for a common factor. Alright, the common factor of 8 and 56 is 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 56 divided by 8 is 7. Now to find the LCM, the least common multiple of 8 and 56, I multiply all three of these together, and I get 56. So my answer is 56. Okay, so the next method we're going to use is the factor tree method. So what we're going to do is we're going to create little trees for each of these, and we're going to factor these down. So we have 8 here, so I'm going to factor this down to 4 and 2. And I'm going to keep going. Okay. Now, would it matter if this was 2 and 4? No, because of the commutative property. So we're going to factor down 56. And then we're going to factor down more. Like that. Okay. I went ahead, just like our GCF method, I went ahead and wrote down all my factors of 8 and 56. I'm going to bring everything down just like we did here on our LCM strategy. So I've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. And when I multiply all these together, I get 56. Number 2. Let's find the LCM of 14 and 21. So let's do both methods again. So we'll do the L method. Okay, by drawing an L. Now I'm going to factor out a 14 and a 21. And let's see, 7 is a common factor of 14 and 21. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 21 divided by 7 is 3. Okay, remember with the LCM, you multiply everything together. And when I multiply all of these together, 7 times 2 is 14, and 14 times 3 is 42. Now let's use the factor tree method here to figure out if we end up getting matching LCMs here. So we'll factor down 14 and we'll factor down 21. Now I'm going to list my factors of 21. So I'll start and I'll put these in order from least to greatest for 14. Now I don't want to line up my numbers. I want to kind of keep them separated if they're different. So I'll put a 7 here, and I'll put a 3 here. Now I'll bring these down, just like our method over here, where we bring everything down. And when I multiply 2 times 7 times 3, I get 42. So my LCM is 42. Number 3, let's find the LCM of 56 and 96. So I'm going to start off with our factor tree method. So I'm going to draw 2 little trees. I'll find factors of 56 and 96. Since these are composite numbers, I can keep going, so I'll do that quickly. And now I have prime numbers. The same thing here. Okay. Now I'm going to list my primes here of 56. And I'm going to list my primes of 96. Doing the same thing as the last question, I'll line up the ones that match, but the ones that don't match, I'm going to leave a space. Okay? I'm going to bring everything down. Okay, so there I've got a whole bunch of numbers. Oops, a whole bunch of numbers there brought down. Just so happens, when I multiply all these numbers together, I get 672. Alright, let's do it the other way, and let's see if we get the same thing. So we have 8, we have 56, and 96. I'll factor out an 8 from both of these, and then I'll divide 56 by 8 to get 7 and 12. Now my next step is to multiply all these together. And 8 times 7 times 12 also equals 672. So my LCM is 672. Today you learned how to find the least common multiple of a set of numbers.